Hello and welcome to Behind the Scenes episode 3. If you don't know what this series is, it's a behind the scenes look at what's going in my life in my year off where I'm traveling the world trying to work out how to live a healthier and happier life. And this week I'm in Hong Kong and Macau. And if those of you who don't know where Macau is a small island next to Hong Kong, which is often known as Las Vegas of the East. And the reason I'm here is because I have family here. And believe it or not, I am half Chinese, even though my face says I'm fully white. So Macau is known as Las Vegas of the East because it's just full of casinos. And all the Chinese people from mainland China will come over to Macau to gamble, essentially. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about my personal addiction and what I've had to do to overcome it. And thankfully, I'm not addicted to gambling, but I am addicted to something that I think is a lot more common, and that is social media. And for me personally, my addiction doesn't come in scrolling so much. Yes, I do a bit of scrolling, but my addiction comes in posting. And some of you may or may not be able to relate with this, but I get a real buzz from making a post on social media, whether that's on my personal Instagram or for this public Dr. Chris G page. I get such a buzz that it's got to a point where I've definitely become addicted to the feeling of posting and then as a reward getting likes and views. I actually started this YouTube channel about 4 years ago, and maybe last year or so I started posting to TikTok and Instagram as well because of the whole YouTube Shorts thing. I was just making one vertical video and posting it to all 4 platforms. And I found TikTok in particular, the algorithm was really rewarding me and giving me millions of views, millions of likes. And that buzz that I was getting from that platform was actually kind of affecting my life. And stupidly, when I started doing it, I intentionally turned on notifications from TikTok because I thought this would motivate me to create more videos. But it kind of backfired and had a detrimental effect on my mental health. Let me explain why. So posting on social media, particularly TikTok, Instagram, is basically like pulling a lever on a slot machine. Every time you post, it's like pulling a lever, except instead of putting money into the machine, you're putting in time and energy to create videos. The only positive thing about it is that the input is creative. The input is about filmmaking or telling a story or educating people. But either way, you get the same dopamine peak and trough from pulling a lever on a slot machine. And I just became stuck in the cycle of posting, and then continuously checking my phone to look how many views, how many comments, how many likes the post has got. And I was always in this state of tension. I was never relaxed. I could never just chill, sit on a bench and do nothing. I'd always be like thinking, oh, should I check my phone? Should I check how this video is doing or an old video, or should I answer this comment? But luckily I found something which has helped me greatly, and you may find it helpful to you too. So I was recommended a book called Dopamine Nation by Dr. Lembke. If you haven't heard of it, it's written by this lady, Dr. Lembke, who is a psychiatrist who deals with patients with severe addictions who often need to be medicated because of how severe their addiction is. But she talks about a concept called self-binding, which is essentially making a decision today would prevent you from making a bad decision in the future. So in my case, I needed to do something today that would stop me from going on social media tomorrow. I had a good friend who recommended an app called Opal. I have no affiliation with Opal. I just use their free version. They're not sponsoring this video or anything. But Opal looks like this. And essentially I've set it so I can't go on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook until 12 midday every single day. And this is what it looks like on my home screen. As you can see, all the icons are blacked out. So when I click on one, it does this. And then when it gets to 12 midday, I'm allowed to check social media again. In the book, she mentions a study, which is to do with drugs, but it's the same concept. It can be applied to anything. I'm just going to quote it here. This study suggests that by restricting drug consumption to a narrow window of time, we may be able to moderate our use and avoid the compulsive and escalating consumption that comes with unlimited access. Now, in my case, it wasn't a drug, it was social media, but I've restricted my window of usage to later in the day, And in fact, I actually have more locks, not with Opal, but with iPhone itself. So I can't even go on my phone after 9:30 p.m. as not to disturb my sleep. And this self-binding thing can be applied to anything. So for example, I have a friend who is really addicted to vaping. He wanted to limit his usage to only weekends when he was going out, seeing friends and stuff. So what he did was he put his vape in a time-locked safe during the week from Monday to Friday, and that time-locked safe would open again for the weekend. He could vape on the weekend as much as he liked, but then on Monday he had to put his vape back in the safe. This is another form of self-binding, another form of time-restricted consumption. So if you feel like you've got anything in your life which is causing you detriment that you feel you're addicted to, that's one concept you can use, the self-binding approach. Self-binding or self-binding with a time restriction. And I'll just leave you with this quote at the end. Self-binding creates literal and metacognitive space between desire, shit.